Another year, another Yankee prospect to the Red Sox in the Rule 5 draft. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Sea Radio. My name is Corbin, and for those of you who may not know, yesterday was the MLB Rule 5 draft. It's sort of the conclusion to the winter meetings, and for the Red Sox, the Rule 5 draft has essentially become a yearly tradition of taking one of the Yankees prospects and seeing if they can make them work on the Boston Red Sox, because for the last 6 years, one of the Red Sox Rule 5 picks has been from the New York Yankees, and nothing changed this year. On top of that, too, the Red Sox also lost some pretty significant prospects in this process as well. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to break down everything that happened to the Red Sox in this year's Rule 5 draft, who the players coming in are, who the players going out are, and how all of this affects the Boston Red Sox. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start by quickly running through the names of these guys who the Red Sox lost in this Rule 5 draft. For those of you who may not know, or some of you guys who may not remember, there were a ton of players eligible for the Rule 5 draft with the Boston Red Sox, so it makes sense that a lot of guys were selected just strictly based on sheer numbers alone. Some of these guys were significant names, others were guys who probably weren't going to be making an impact at the big league level. Some of the notable names are guys like Shane Drohan, who at the time of being drafted was the number 4 pitching prospect in the Red Sox system, a top 15 prospect according to Sox Prospects. He was right below Wilkerman Gonzalez, who was right below Richard Fitz, who was right below Luis Perales. So that was sort of, in my opinion, the biggest loss the Red Sox took in this Rule 5 draft. This is a guy who has a lot of potential but struggled a ton in AAA. The Red Sox didn't feel like they needed to protect him, and ultimately they lost him with the 4th pick in this year's draft. Another name who may not be impactful for the Red Sox, but is definitely impactful for their AAA affiliate, the Worcester Red Sox, is Ryan Fitzgerald. For those of you who may not be familiar, Fitzy was essentially the face of the Worcester Red Sox. He got a key to the city. Fitzy meant a lot to the people of Worcester and for Worcester Red Sox fans, so it sucks to see him drafted. Jose Ramirez is a name to keep an eye on as he gets older. He was selected. He was really great for the Red Sox on the pitching side of things in the minor leagues in Salem last year. You had other names like Fernandez, who was an interesting pitching prospect. So overall, you did lose some fairly significant names in the process of this Rule 5 draft. But what I will say is the Rule 5 draft is funny, man. The rules surrounding your Rule 5 draft picks are extremely convoluted in my opinion, and there are a ton of different things you got to abide by. I know you have to be on the 40-man roster for basically, I think it's the entire season. You may have to be on the 26-man roster for a certain amount of time. I'm not entirely sure what the actual rules are, but what I do know is that a lot of these players who end up getting selected end up getting returned to your team. A lot of these players are sort of, okay, we'll take a chance on him. If he doesn't work out, he doesn't work out. We got him for free, right? Last year, the Red Sox had 3 people selected, and 2 of the 3 of those guys ended up back with this organization. So while we did take some losses in terms of the organization as a whole in this draft, don't be surprised to see a couple or most of these names coming back over the next year or so. However, it wasn't just losses for the Red Sox, and they did pick up some players as well. Technically speaking, the Red Sox only drafted 1 person in this year's Rule 5 draft, and that was a guy by the name of Mikey Gasper, a 28-year-old prospect who, interestingly enough, is from Merrimack, New Hampshire, right near where I grew up. That's kind of cool, just simply on a personal basis. Gasper is a catcher who last year spent time in both AA and AAA, where he put up a 246 average, a fairly high 361 on base percentage. That's sort of his MO. He gets on base a lot, and he had an unusually low slug of 375. Overall, it was a bit of a down year for Mickey, who overall in 5 minor league seasons had a 258 average, a 377 on base percentage, and a much higher but not great 324 slug. Now, in terms of draft choice, I actually think this makes a lot of sense for Boston. Mickey's probably not going to be a stud impact player with the Red Sox, but the Red Sox right now don't really have anyone to catch anything at the AAA level, right? Ronaldo Hernandez was released this offseason. Kyle Teel is not AAA ready yet. Hopefully, if all hopes he's ready as soon as humanly possible, but you don't really have anyone on the back end of that 40-man roster to be your sort of break in case of emergency type backup catcher. Mickey Gasper could be that type of guy, and he's a player who has put up some fairly solid numbers in the minor leagues so far, right? He's nothing super special, but he is an area of depth that the Red Sox desperately needed, and this is going to help this team in that way. He's also, on top of that, the same catcher who helped Richard Fitts strike out 11 guys in 6 innings. He understands Fitts, so the Red Sox bringing in Fitts and Mickey could end up working out really well for them at the AAA level. They're familiar with each other. Mickey knows how to call a pretty good game. This could be pretty interesting in terms of the development of Richard Fitts. But Mickey wasn't the only player the Red Sox picked up in this Rule 5 draft, because while technically they only drafted one person, they also immediately after the draft was over traded for another Rule 5 guy by the name of Justin Slayton. And Slayton, in my opinion, of these two players is the one to really keep an eye on. Slayton was drafted by the Mets but played with the Texas Rangers last year. The Red Sox traded with the Mets. It was a 10th round pick and some cash to get Slayton. And Slayton in 2023 between AA and AAA with the Rangers put up a 2.87 ERA over 59 and 2/3 innings. He also had a really impressive 12 K per 9, which equated to a pretty significant 36.6% strikeout rate, or a little bit over 1 strikeout for every 3 batters he faced. On top of that, he did a really great job of improving his command between 22 and 2023. He basically cut his walk rate in half and ended up with a fairly low walks per 9 of just 3 in 2023. Slayton has a fastball that averages around 97 miles per hour and can get real close to triple digits if he pushes it all the way. He has a ton of movement on that fastball with about 18.5 inches of movement to be exact. This is his put out pitch. He gets a ton of swing and misses on this fastball. He also has a 4-pitch mix on top of his fastball. It's a cutter, a slider, and a curveball every once in a while. This is a guy who has a ton of potential for your bullpen. In my opinion, again, this is the name to watch in terms of the Rule 5 draft. The Boston Red Sox clearly wanted to get Slayton on their team if they were willing to trade after the Rule 5 draft was over to ensure that he ends up on the Boston Red Sox. In fact, Craig Breslow, in his wrap-up of winter meetings, aside from saying he was disappointed in the movement, I think we all were, he also stated that Justin Slayton could be a guy who is a contributor at the big league level. To me, this indicates that Justin Slayton was brought in to make some impact in the big leagues. On top of the fact that he was brought in to make an impact at the big leagues, he's also has to be on this 40-man roster, so this is probably a name to keep an eye on as we move through spring training, see how he does there, figure out what his role is going to look like on the Boston Red Sox. But the potential here with Justin Slayton is pretty high. I'm not saying he's going to be a bullpen ace or anything, but think about something like a Josh Winkowski in 2023, or think about sort of Mauricio Llovera at the end of 2023 where he had that stretch of being really good, sort of those back end of the roster type pitchers that you can utilize to add depth to this bullpen as the year wears on, right? Because bullpen depth of all depth on this team is going to be extremely important. Bullpens tend to get worn out towards the end of the year. Having guys that you can mix and match like Wyatt Mills, Justin Slayton, Mauricio Llovera, type of guys like that you could sort of intermingle here with your regulars is going to be hugely important to the success of the Boston Red Sox. And if the Red Sox feel like Justin Slayton can be that guy, I'm getting a little excited about him, right? I trust Craig Breslow's eye for pitching. I trust Andrew Bailey's ability to get the most out of pitchers like this, and I think this could be a really good pickup for the Boston Red Sox. So overall, we're looking at the Rule 5 draft as a whole and the implications it has on the Sox. They did get decimated a little bit with other teams' picks in the Rule 5 draft, but they got 2 fairly interesting names back. Again, Slayton is the name to pay attention to here, but Mickey isn't a bad pickup as well. He sort of fills a role that the Red Sox kind of desperately needed for basically nothing, and depth is always very important. So I'm excited about the guys they got back. It's always nice to be able to steal something from the Yankees, especially after the events that took place yesterday. It feels good to get something from them for free and take them hopefully right under their noses. But either way, I think all in all, this was a solid Rule 5 draft, despite the fact that so many names were taken, because of the players you got back and because of the fact that it's probably likely that a lot of those guys who were taken were going to end up back on your team anyways. But that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below, what did you think of the Rule 5 draft? Did you care at all? Do you like any of these names? Do you not like any of these names? What are your thoughts on what the Red Sox did in the Rule 5 draft in the comment section down below? As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe and that like button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Plus, you made it to the end here, you might as well help these videos out, because liking it does help these videos out a ton and would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.